All right, so here we've got a really beautiful red and gold book. It's got a leather cover here with a gold wreath uh, imprinted onto it there, and it's got this great border all around the edge as well. It's in really good condition. Um, this one is called Mesopotamia and Assyria. It's by J. Bailey Fraser, and it's published by Oliver and Boyd. You can see all this nice gold work on the spine here, these really beautiful decorations, and it's also got that wreath on the back, though it's not gilded. And the leather quality is really nice. It's got these sort of bumps all along it. Not sure if the edges of the pages at any point were gilded. It looks like they weren't, but sometimes they can completely wear off, and it's hard to tell. So it's pretty small. This one's about the size of my hand, and the paper quality is really nice for how old this one is. So it's still really sturdy. Some of the pages have some slight rips in them, but they're all intact. And here you can see the Edinburgh Cabinet Library, and it's got the prices at the top of what these books would have cost back then. And it's got this fold-out map. I'm trying to be delicate here because on these fold-outs, they tend to make the paper a lot lighter and thinner than the sort of main pages in the book, which can kind of make them delicate. It's almost sort of like a tissue-like paper. But this map is really cool, so I wanted you all to see it. You can see in the bottom left it says Mesopotamia and Assyria, which is the area that the map is showing. Just the amount of detail here is crazy, and it's just so well done. If you look at the title page later on, it'll show you that the engravings and the map here are done by somebody named Jackson, though they were probably sort of designed or a lot of contributions were probably made from the author. And here we've got a sort of frontispiece before the title page. This another beautiful engraving of looks like something to do with Nimrod there, and it's got the title Mesopotamia and Assyria. It's also got a pencil mark on the next page here from, I'm guessing, the previous owner, but it's a little hard to read. So Mesopotamia and Assyria. This is the second edition. Here's the title here. From the earliest ages to the present time, with illustrations of their natural history by J. Bailey Fraser, Esquire. Not sure if there's a typo for illustrations. It's missing the I, and it's published in 1842, which is almost, I think that's like 100 years before World War II, which is pretty crazy to think about. Yeah, so everybody who was alive when this book was published is dead now, which is a little morbid, but it's just fascinating. So in the work now presented to the public, the author has endeavored to bring under one view all that is known of the history and aspect, moral, physical, and political, of the provinces of Mesopotamia and Assyria, and to give at the same time a sketch of the causes that have produced the revolutions of which they have been the theater. The subject is extensive and complicated, and the difficulty of compressing the matter which it embraces into one volume was proportionally great. Yeah, so this book is just filled to the brim with all of these historical details and sort of arguments, trying to present evidence for one theory above another theory and all sorts of things. I did read through the book, but there's a lot that I didn't retain since I'm not very well versed in this subject, and here you can see just how much is included in each chapter. These are just little chapter summaries that are pretty common. Oh, and here you can see the preface is written in 1841. Yeah, so the chapters, we've got different sections: rise and fall of the Babylonian Empire, origin, government, religion, laws and customs, etc. of the ancient Assyrians and Babylonians, antiquities. There's all sorts of things in here. And let's see, other ruins of Babylonian Chaldea, Yeah, so there's quite a lot. If you were really interested in this topic, this would just be such a useful resource. Present state of Mesopotamia, present condition of Assyria, religion, character, manners, and customs of the inhabitants of modern Mesopotamia and Assyria. And then there's the final chapter is a natural history chapter. And then they've got a list of the engravings and where they're located in the book. Yeah, so this is where that first chapter starts. Then it just sort of gets right into it, gets into all these fine details. Yeah, there's a lot to learn in here. And I'm kind of just skipping through at this point, looking for kind of notable sections. Here's one. This is a really amazing engraving of an old ancient building, which was called the Tauk Ekestra. And in the book it says, it is known as the Tauk Ekestra, or the Arch of Khusru, and may be regarded as the facade of a very magnificent building that appears never to have been completed. In the center there is an archway, which rises to a point, the apex of which is 101 feet from the ground, and of 80 feet span. This gives entrance to what has been a noble hall, 153 feet long, of which the arched roof remains in a great part entire, though there are in it some extensive caverns. It is plastered and perforated with holes, from whence tradition tells that in the time of Khusru there hung 100 silver lamps. Imagine walking through a hall like that. That's 150 feet tall, and there's just hundreds of silver lamps hanging in the ceiling. Yeah, and if you look up the history of this building, in, I guess, 1888, there was a big flood that damaged a large portion of the building. So since this book was written in 1842, the image shown in the engraving would have been made before that damage happened. So it's kind of a nice historical record to look through this book and see what it would have looked like before that happened. It's just another reason why books like this are good to preserve. So here's a section about modern Babylonia. It's got another engraving here, it looks like, with a sleeve to protect the ink from transferring to the other page. This says a view of Baghdad, and it's a really picturesque scene there, where multiple people are all sitting in groups around this body of water. You can see some trees on the left and somebody sitting sort of cross-legged in a huddle of people on the left there. So the author, J. Bailey Fraser, was a Scottish writer who was known for writing about his travels in Eastern countries, but he was also a really talented watercolor painter. So it's probable that the engravings in here, even though they're attributed to Jackson might have just been the engraver, but the actual images that they were based on could have been made by J. Bailey Fraser. So here we have a section for the natural history, and it's just sort of saying that there's not a lot of great older sources for getting information about the natural history of these places. It says, these are indeed few, for of older authorities we believe there are none. And this remark includes, as already hinted, the learned Forsskål, whose researches do not embrace those countries. It is true that the eminent Danish naturalist supplied a description of animals in his Oriental itinerary, as also a flora of Egypt and Arabia, but Oriental is a wide word, and Forsskål labored chiefly in the neighborhood of Alexandria, whilst the Arabia he examined was not the vast plains of the Petria or in Deserta, which border upon Mesopotamia, but a small portion of the promontory of Arabia Felix near Mocha, and both these districts are distant not less than 1,000 miles from the regions which now engage our attention. Hence, though we do not mean to deny that some useful analogies in botany and zoology may be drawn from his works, yet all inferences of this nature, it basically can't be trusted. So then there's a section about zoology there, and then it ends with the index, and then there's also a section after the index for other works in this catalog or in this library. This is pretty common to see in older books like this from the 1800s, because the publishers would want to advertise their other options. And you can see also reviews of the library catalog. We have on more than one occasion given the tribute of our praise to the sound and accurate knowledge which distinguishes the Edinburgh Cabinet Library. And then there's some other reviews in here as well. And you can see there's different works listed that are included in the library about Africa, Egypt, Palestine, British India, all sorts of things here, mostly travel related. There's America, there's Arabia, Persia, China, and then there's Iceland, Greenland. So there's a lot to take in here. A book that's just rich with historical information, really well conditioned for how old it is, nearly 200 years old. So leave a comment if you'd like. Thanks for watching.